Welcome to the Poetry Box Live. I'm Shawn Aveningo-Sanders, and I'll be your host for tonight's show. For those of you who might be joining us for the first time, my husband Robert and I run a small boutique press here in Portland, Oregon, known as the Poetry Box. And we publish about 25 to 30 poetry books per year, plus our annual anthology, The Poeming Pigeon. And the Poetry Box Live is our way of supporting our talented authors to help them connect with a broader audience. And we are very excited today to present two wonderful poets for you today. First, we have Lanser Howard reading from California and Maddie Mitchell from Paris, Kentucky. Unfortunately, we also had a third poet scheduled, Rheanna Haaland, but she works in an ER and she contacted me a little while ago and said she's sick. So please send all your healing thoughts her way. So before we do start the show, I do want to warn everyone that some of the topics of the poems being shared today could potentially be a trigger for those who may be suffering from depression, eating disorders, or have suicidal tendencies. So these experiences are being shared by our poets to help people realize they're not alone and to hopefully offer hope. But however, we certainly understand if you feel you need to leave the reading, because above all, it's important to exercise self-care and love. So that's my PSA for today. Let's get started with our first featured reader, Lanser Howard, author of The Screaming Silence. Lanser Howard began his career as a journalist and then transitioned into film, where he wrote and produced an award-winning documentary film and other screenplays. His sole focus now is on poetry and literature, with The Screaming Silence as his first full-length book of poetry. An Oakland, California native, now living in Sacramento, Howard travels the country selling food products by day and a writer by night. He has worked extensively with combat veterans, filtering their traumatic experiences through his eyes in much of his work. Lanser's visceral, minimalistic style paints hard-hitting portraits of the dark and lonely process of fighting through tragedy and loss, and how to heal oneself with words, hope, and unwavering strength of self. Please welcome Lanser Howard.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm excited to join you all and share some of the work from my latest book, The Screaming Silence. And thank you so much, Shawn, for having me. I'm really excited. It's not the same reading in person as over the screen, but yeah, I just enjoy the opportunity. And I wanted to kind of just give everyone a quick, for those of you that aren't familiar with The Screaming Silence, I get a lot of questions about the book title, and it's really based on the concept of loss and the truth that you can find in the silence, because really it's, silence, and with loss, oftentimes it's silence. I always say, everyone interprets it differently when you're going through that point, and silence can be as sweet as the most beautiful symphony, or it can be a scream so terrifying it will keep you up all night trying to get out of your head. And it's that concept I wanted to play with silence. And the whole book is kind of based on that metaphor of silence. And with COVID and this last year, really last couple of years, kind of knocking everyone on their asses. And everyone has experienced loss of a loved one, loss of a job. I mean, it could be a loss of a relationship, but it's been trying times. And in the loss, you can find truth. And that's where I want to pivot into hope. And I'm hoping to take people with this book on a journey from the dark, deep depths when it first happens. And I always refer to that as the gray gun barrel of pain, and then take you from that darkness into the light of hope, and that hope to have the strength to fight on. So enough words. Let's dive into it. And kind of makes sense that my first poem should be The Screaming Silence, right? So that's the first one I'm going to read to you tonight. The Screaming Silence. I can't sleep tonight. Something breathes in my ear. The rage rattles the cage around my heart. Never any peace. Beethoven's symphonies crash back and forth. I see bodies hanging from the rafters, laughing at me, telling me to find a better way. But none of this touches a nerve. It's the dead, screaming silence of loss that kills me. This I cannot live with, but dream to live without. So that's the first one. And, along those lines, this whole thing, and I played with the book on it being a journey, and, it's the first part of the process is always the hardest. And this next one is, so many people have kind of reached out to me, especially now with COVID and all of us being isolated, and, just sharing their stories of loss. And, I'm really happy to feel their feedback. And, it's good to know that it helps to not be alone when you're going through this process. So this one is for those that are still in that gray gun barrel. It's called pain. Pain. You don't know what pain is, yet you write about it. You must be there to know. Your imagination can't help you with some things. Have you ever felt the darkness squeeze you into silence? Have you ever froze under streetlights with dirty needles under your feet? Have you ever seen the eyes of the dead swirling around you? Have you ever swung from the gallows of silence? Have you ever felt the burning heart turn to stone? I hope not. It's dark, very dark, and lonely. So, just kind of part of the process of this, as we all know, is just having courage. And I wanted to kind of move out of that painful light and help people find the strength to get through those dark times. And, this one is about that inevitable feeling of what you have to do next, of facing the fire. It's the name of the poem. Water drips down my beating heart. The night surrounds my lost soul. Fate breathing in my ear. The weight of the dead swirls all around me. I sink but soar away from fear. I'm all alone in this dark chamber of screaming trees and burning stars alive with hope. My eyes bleed, burn, taste the flash of alpine air as my mind screams for the end or the way to it all. So that's thank you. I can't hear you, but thank you. Yeah, it's as you all know, I mean, it's just, darkness is the part that you seem to find yourself in this process. And once that haze is lifted, and you can then step into the light, but you have to go through that, and it's necessary. And this next one is kind of, enough darkness. Let's talk about hope. This one is titled Believe. There's a better place. I can see flashes of it. A black cat glistening in the sun, the slow roll of raindrops, the slow pick of a guitar, a train whistle in the night. Live in these moments, find them, burn them in your brain. Forget about the anger. Let go of that place that consumes hope and strangles possibility. Find truth in other people's eyes. Look for a different shade of gray. Create an imaginary place and let the words fly. The chips will fall where they may. Believe. So you have, now you're at that process. We were kind of playing with that metaphor of the journey, and you still have hope. And this next one I want to dedicate, it's to a person that is very special to me, and she's one of the bravest women I know. And life knocks you down, and I think the mark of true character is the person that can have grace under the most cruel of circumstances. And this woman, Kathy, I call her the lion. This one's called Kathy the Lion. Truth keeps passion alive. Say goodbye to fear. Fight me, I dare you. I have more heart than your wildest dreams. Good night, adios, you coward, fear. Your guts shine like a diamond, Kathy. You will never bow down to fear. Your heart stands like a pillar between the beats of my heart. Your love fuels my hope. Never will I see the frailty of weakness. Never will I lock eyes with fear. I'm a lion, proud as a bell in the night, a flash of lightning across a coal black sky, a blaze of hope that burns deep into the night. I'm here. See me? So that's what it's all about, just having courage, and a lot of people, unfortunately, just get knocked down. And as we know, many don't get back up. But when you're knocked down, you have to get up. And sometimes in that process, you need to get away, and, you need to get away from truth, and you need to get away from your life. And this one is kind of in that spirit of how you feel when things are piling up and you got to get away. It's called Runaway. Run across the sand. Get away from your life. Feel the sea betray you, but keep running. Don't look back. See it all ahead. Have faith as your heart's direction. You will find a way to escape all this madness, all this loneliness that hangs on to fear and follows you everywhere. It's in your eyes, but look away. Don't believe what you see in the mirror. The truth lies in your heart. So that one is, that's what it is, right? Like, you just got to believe, you got to have faith. And, the next one is a very personal one for me, because, when you are at that place, you got to believe in yourself. But sometimes you get lucky, you get really lucky, and someone comes along and they save you. And for me, that person saved me. You can probably guess her name from the next name of the title of my next poem. It's called For Michelle. And this is actually kind of based on a true story, which is a little crazy, but here we go. I ran across a dry riverbed, trying to lose myself, trying to run away from my past. The hot sun beat down on my bare back, and above me, the vultures circled around and around. I fell to my knees in total exhaustion and folded out, spread eagle, across a cracked riverbed floor, hoping to escape my past, now with only my future above me. And the vultures continued to circle, gazing down on me with impatient eyes, begging for me to give up the fight. Now, with only an empty heart and a vacant soul, I rose to my feet, ready to confront my fate. Only in that moment was I truly alive. So the next one is about this isolation. And I just wrote this. This is a new one. It's not in the book. And, during the lockdown period, we were all so isolated, and there was this surreal place that we were in, and time and space were suspended. And so I was playing with that concept when I wrote this one. It's called Shards. And it kind of has the metaphor of, like, your life is broken. So what are you going to do? Shards of glass flashing through shadows of bodies frozen in time, dance down empty streets, and faded smiles burned away in time. Touch the soul of a lover, dirty with rhyme. See the eyes of an angel. Pray for that chance of an unlit candle. Beg for the weight of flesh. Thirst for that flash of a chance to fight the impossible. We all want real hands to show us the way. We all grasp for truth in our dreams. We all need love to breathe through impossibility. So this one is kind of fun. It's I'm obsessed with Vincent van Gogh. And so if anyone has seen his painting, Wheat Fields with Crows, that one really inspired me so much. And to me, it really struck the chord, because I read, and I've done a lot of research on him. And he, as you know, he suffered from epilepsy, and I myself suffered from epilepsy. And he always would refer to that painting as the time before a seizure would come on. And he always liked, well, not like, that's the wrong word, but the imagery in that painting. And so as many of you know, that that was his last painting, and that's why it really inspired me. And afterwards, unfortunately, he went out in that same wheat field that he painted and put a shotgun to his head. And this one kind of inspired me. It's called Sound of the Crows. Sound of the crows. It's all slow. The black and white glow, death in tow. My soul goes to the crows. The dark clouds descend, and the screaming begins as the chorus of the crows scream over and over and over again. I shake, shudder from the pain, see the eyes dart away, see the dirt swept away. The wind blows, and only the crows scream over and over and over again. Eager eyes blink, the silence creeps in. That is why they wait. Do you hear them scream? I do. I hope you don't. That is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lanser. I really appreciate you sharing such vulnerable poems. You've mentioned a few times in the past that your poetry, your work, that you work with a lot of combat veterans to inform your poetry. Would you like to share a little bit more about that right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I started off as a screenwriter, and through the course of about 2 years, I was writing a screenplay, and I was corresponding with veterans that were embedded in Afghanistan and Iraq. And many of these guys, and the concept that I was researching was PTSD, and I myself kind of suffered from PTSD. And so these guys really inspired me, and talking to them and having these conversations and learning about PTSD, it gave me it wrecked me, and I had to have an outlet for that. And so a lot of the poems in the Screaming Silence are just me getting that weight off and kind of expressing myself through their eyes and what they told me that I couldn't forget about. And so there's a lot of, for me, it's a way that I felt like I was honoring them and kind of educating people, because a lot of people don't understand, how difficult it is to live with PTSD. It just fractures your life. And the easiest way I can think of describing it, that, clinically, it's if your fight or flight response is broken. And so you go around in relaxing moments and you have a sense of panic all of a sudden, because your response is completely destroyed. And so it's so hard to just get through the day. And so a lot of, without going into too much, but so to this day I have a lot of friends, and I'm a strong supporter of the military and just helping veterans. I do a lot of readings and different things to help those guys out, and fundraisers and stuff. So it's just kind of dear to my heart.
Well, that's great that you do that. I think, sometimes we don't always have the tools to express. And so when somebody else can help provide that and kind of open that door a little bit, it can be very beneficial. So thanks for all your work with the veterans. I really appreciate all that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, we're going to move on to our next featured poet, who is Maddie Mitchell, author of We're Not Real Anyways. Manny Mitchell is an 18-year-old poet and writer from Paris, Kentucky, who now goes by the name Mads and prefers neutral pronouns, so I'll do my best not to screw that up. They graduated high school in 2019, 1 year earlier than expected, and began attending Georgetown at age 17. They hope to one day attend law school in order to become an immigration lawyer. Mads deferred a semester of college during their sophomore year to focus on treatment for several mental illnesses, including borderline personality disorder, anxiety, depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, and anorexia nervosa. Throughout their treatment, they wrote many of the poems included in We're Not Real Anyways. The book also speaks on feminism and LGBTQ+ relationships, and they hope that their poetry is relatable to others who deal with similar issues. So please welcome Maddie Mitchell.
Hi, I'm actually 19 now. Yeah, so my first book, We're Not Real Anyways, was written my first stint in residential treatment for anorexia. I was there for a few months, I think. Since then, I've been back to residential 3 times. I've done some outpatient programs and some inpatient ones, and all in all, in the past 2 years, I've been to 10 different treatment programs. So I've written 2 books throughout my time there. The first few poems are from We're Not Real Anyways, which is published. And then the next couple I will be reading are from my second book, I Don't Want to See You Go, which is finished, but I haven't submitted it yet. So kind of nervous about it, but yeah. So We're Not Real Anyways kind of just follows my journey through recovery, and a lot of the poems I'm reading might seem very depressing, but I promise you in the book, there are some ones that give hope. It really follows the path of recovery because recovery is not linear. And so the book itself goes very up and down and kind of all over the place. And it just, I mean, I put them in the order that I wrote them and just what came to my mind at the time. So the first book I will be reading is the first poem I will be reading is Adulthood. I shouldn't want to throw out my birthday cake. I shouldn't run to the bathroom after eating 3 bites to examine how much weight I gained. I shouldn't tell myself I can't eat the rest of the week to make up for it. I shouldn't have to endure discussions about how many calories must be in the cake I baked myself. I shouldn't hesitate to bring the fork to my mouth. I shouldn't contemplate how I could throw it away without anyone noticing. I shouldn't want to kill myself for eating. Crying over birthday cake shouldn't be the first thing I do as an adult. The next poem I will be reading is titled Success. When did success become measured by Instagram followers and test scores? The number of days you could go without eating? Success is throwing my lunch into the garbage can and passing out in gym class mid-run. Success is crying into a bowl of pasta and hanging up on my friends when they ask me to come to dinner. Success is dress sizes, leadership roles, trophies, titles. Success is exhaustion that gets you admitted to the hospital. Success is digestive systems that have gone to shit and IV fluids pumping through translucent veins. Success is cuts and burned skin, a rope around my neck, and failure is eating a fucking sandwich. The next one is pretty intense if the other 2 weren't already. So if you need to leave, I fully understand. I will warn you, it talks a little bit about gun violence. To all the boys who pulled a gun on me, I love you. I love the way you cared about me. So passionate was your finger on the trigger. So calming was your voice on the phone, telling me how I caused your pain. I feel so at peace, knowing that I can never trust anyone, that the people I would die for would rather have me dead. So grateful I am to you for giving me an experience we all go through, right? So reassuring it is to think that you are always hovering outside the door. To all the boys who pulled a gun on me, I sincerely still love you. And then this is the last one from We're Not Real Anyways. It's titled Fake. I ate. It should be as simple as that, I ate. But I failed. I should make up for it because all I am is lying to the world. I so desperately want to tell the truth, so I try to let it out, but it lies in a pit, a well at the bottom of my stomach that has been collecting bad thoughts, bad feelings, bad. I wish I could drain out the lies, but I am fake. As fake as a pretty pink pen writing depressing as hell words, pretending that they are bubblegum. I sit in the library and stare at my book. I smile, I laugh, but it is not real because real is only for the living. The future is only for those that are alive. I have been dead so long, my breathing body only carries on the lie. She is fake. She is not there. She is not real. These next few are from I Don't Want to See You Go, which is, the book itself is just a continuation of my journey through recovery, which is still a journey that we're going through. But it's mainly kind of like a letter to myself, just saying, like the book itself is like a letter to me, just saying, I don't want to see me go, and I don't want to see me give up the things that I know I want and that I deserve. So that's kind of the basis of the title. The first poem I'll be reading from that book is titled Ooze. I am a liquid, filling the container of whatever sweatshirt is on my body. It doesn't matter the size, I will flow into it, filling it to the brim, sometimes spilling over. I am scared of slipping on the liquid, so I keep getting bigger cups, more room to fill, more likely I will spill. I overflow into the extra large sweatshirt. When will the pitcher run dry? The next one has a title, but I printed it off weird, so I don't remember what the title is. It cut it off, so we'll go with it's untitled right now. I couldn't sleep. Sorry, that was my cat. I couldn't sleep. I got out of bed at 5 a.m. and I went downstairs. I think that is hunger, but then again, what do I know? I haven't heard from her in years. I rummage through the fridge and pull out a slice of pizza. I scarf it down like food has not passed these lips this decade. Then I grab a sleeve of crackers and retreat back to my bedroom, eating them in my bed, leaving crumbs like a mouse. I don't know who I am. I don't know what this is. There is a pain. I feel like my stomach is going to explode. I hate what I have become. This monster in the dark, a thief in the night, cowering under bed sheets, hiding from all the real problems. Then it starts again, always in threes. I eat, I eat, I eat. Then I starve, then starve, then starve. And that is why they say I am not anorexic. I haven't met the qualifications because my weight stays the same. I lose it all and it comes back before they care to notice. They will not give me my title. I cannot wear my crown with pride. So I make my own paper crown because, hey, at least I tried. And then the last poem I will be reading is titled, They Say It Takes a Year. The corners of my mouth lift when I read. Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. The words are comforting. I have felt their truth. I feel the drop of blood slip from my nose like it does at least once each day. I am proud. It means I still have a chance. Hope isn't lost. My year isn't up. The clock ticks. Tick, tick, tick. Time moves fast, so I must be faster. They say it happens faster. How quick can I disintegrate? When will I be proud of my accomplishments? I love the taste of skinny. I love the taste of empty. I want them to stumble on their words as they try to pick an adjective to describe me, wondering if it is rude to say skinny or thin, like they contemplate using the words black or fat. I want them to be afraid. I want them to feel pains in their bones as they look at my jutting collarbones. I want them to see the pain. I want them to finally see me. Thank you.
Mads, thank you so much for your courage, for sharing these very, very vulnerable poems. You know, when I was in college and I had a little stint of bulimia and had to go through all that body image issues and everything. And it's something that I think all women struggle with quite a bit throughout our lives. But you know, right now with Instagram and social media and what young women are having to face, you know, that much more today, it's much more severe. I really appreciate you stepping out and being a voice and sharing some of these feelings and what you've gone through so that people have somebody that they can talk to and relate to. I was reading an interview in Rattle with James Pennebaker, and he's done a lot of research on healing through writing and trauma. And he was talking about how this sort of cathartic writing kind of goes beyond just venting our emotions, but can actually help you process and organize to make sense of everything that we're feeling and going through. Have you found that writing, you know, while going through your treatment center has helped you in your recovery? Has it been beneficial?
I would definitely say it has. It's been a form of therapy for me. While it's very challenging for sure. But I think just putting those thoughts out there and getting it out and sharing it and knowing that other people feel those things too has been really helpful for me. I will say it has been also very difficult to share these things because they are so vulnerable. And just like I kind of had a breakdown when the book actually came out. I freaked out because it's my whole life story. I don't have any secrets anymore. It's all out there. And just knowing that like my family's gonna read it and my parents are gonna read these poems about times in my childhood that maybe they wish they had done differently, or, just like knowing that they might feel guilt from that. And that's not what that's obviously not the point of those poems. Yeah. My cat is trying to get in the frame. But yeah, it's been very difficult, but I feel like it's very rewarding as well.
Well, I really, really appreciate your bravery in doing this. I know what that takes. So bravo to you. And let's have another round of applause for our readers today. I really appreciate both of your vulnerability and sharing everything that you've shared today. It's really wonderful. And I want to thank you, our audience, for joining us today for another edition of the Poetry Box Live. As poets and authors have been impacted by the closure of bookstores and limited reading venues across the country during this pandemic that seems to never end, it really means the world to us that you joined us here on Zoom to celebrate their poetry. We will be kicking off a brand new year of shows on Saturday, January 8th. Featuring our 3 chapbook prize winners from last year. We're going to have Mary Warren Falk, who's the author of Erasures of My Coming Out Letter, Linda Ferguson, who is the author of The Forest, and Trisha Knoll with her tribute to horses with Let's Hear It for the Horses. So to keep up to date on upcoming shows, new releases, and submission opportunities, please subscribe to our newsletter by going to thepoetrybox.com, where you'll find a sign-up form at the bottom of each page. So thanks again for joining us today. We wish you all happy holidays, however you celebrate, and we'll see you next year. Feel free to unmute yourself if you want to chat with the poets or have any questions.
Non-combat veteran in Vietnam, I just wanted to say thank you for what you do, sir.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And yeah, anything we can do to give back is what we owe every veteran that served.
Absolutely.
You talk about recovering and so on. I talk about myself as sometimes difficult, but I'm a 3-time survivor of cancer. I've had 3 different cancers and survived.
My gosh.
Yeah, I went surgery, radiation, and chemo, 1, 2, 3. Survived them all, and poetry came to me through isolation from the pandemic. I live alone. I had nothing to do, so I went to an organization called Turning Point, who helps people that are having medical conditions. That organization had a writing class. I took the writing class. They had poetry, and I was in love with that after that. And I've been writing now for over a year.
Oh, that is wonderful, John. Thank you for sharing that. And
I do
I'm
say
glad
I
you're in
have,
remission now.
yeah, I have 12 published and 2 awards, but I have about 22 rejections.
Well, that's a pretty good ratio because I think she's already left the room, but we have a good friend, Carolyn Martin, and she goes for 100 rejections each year, which means
Yeah,
if we get 100 rejections.
that was my goal from the Kansas City Writers Group. They told me they'd give me an award if I could get 100 rejections.
There you go.
There it
So
is.
I'm
It's hard to
working on it.
do. It's hard to do. So bravo to you. And I'm glad
Thank
you
you
found
for
poetry.
allowing me here and to speak.
Well, thanks for joining us. Well, I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday season, and we will see you next year. That's a wrap.
All right.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.